Hello.
Welcome to the Book Pop Podcast. This is a podcast where we sit around and drink a nice cocktail while talking about an author. Mixing it up still.
Still mixing it up. And one day we'll have like a fun little jingle.
Yeah. So I'm Lesley.
I'm Madeline.
Yeah, welcome.
And yes, I love that we sit around and just talk about what we love to talk about while drinking what we want to drink. And I have to say that we're coming up on our 1 year.
Oh, yeah. We're getting close.
Which is kind of exciting and really fun. For one. And for two, I've learned a lot. Not only about authors, but like mixology and, just life. And so I really appreciate making this podcast for what it's taught me.
Yeah.
And I really do think that even if this doesn't go, over the moon, become like the next My Favorite Murder or whatever, it's still, I really appreciate it. So thank you for almost 1 year.
Yes. And thank you guys for listening.
Yeah. Thank you for listening. And hopefully you learned as much as with us on our journeys. But hopefully next year we'll have a jingle at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's it. We'll just kind of keep delaying that until we get to the year point, and then we'll...
and then finally work on the jingle.
Yeah.
So hi, Lesley. How are you?
Oh, doing great. It's hot out.
It's so horrible. Hot out. It is so hot out. And
yeah.
It
so
made me so lazy today.
Let's cool off with a cool story. Yeah.
Even though this is also set in some very hot places, so
perfect.
It's okay. I have a frozen cocktail for you today.
Yay. What are we drinking?
So with Rudyard Kipling, author of his most notably known works of the Jungle Book. That was a weird way to say that. Okay, Rudyard Kipling, author and poet, known most notably for his books, The Jungle Books, and was hailed as an innovator of short stories. Cool. I have a cocktail today that it was actually kind of a fun story of how I kind of ended up at this moment, which is the Dirty Mango Lassie.
Dirty Mango Lassie.
What
did you call me?
Yeah, you heard me. So, Rudyard Kipling is known to have associations with India. Mm-hmm. So, I wanted to find a cocktail that was like authentically Indian.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't know what to do. I'm kind of like looking, but I'm finding these like Indian cocktails, and it was like Rachel Ray made this. I'm like, no, that's no. So you kind of helped me go like down the fruit realm. I'm like, oh, let me think of fruit realms. And again, it was just like a bunch of white people making Indian cocktails. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
So I found this website, and it's a British website.
Although we're a bunch of white people sitting around making cocktails, but
yes, yeah, but I wanted to honor, more authentic stuff on this one.
Yeah.
And so I found this website, and it's, I'm so sorry if I butcher every single thing. I tried to remember every pronunciation, but I couldn't. So Hari Gotra, and again, I apologize for any offense I give. I'm so sorry. But Hari Gotra is an Indian British person by the looks of her website / app, and does a lot of Indian recipes. Okay, so a mango lassi is milk, yogurt, mango, and some sugar blended all together.
Yum, yum.
But in this dirty mango lassi, she took out the milk so it won't curdle.
Okay.
So it's rum, yogurt. I squeezed a little bit of lime in there. Mm-hmm. And mango and some sugar. Blended it with some ice, and we have a beautifully frothy mango beverage.
Yeah, it looks delicious.
And so I'm excited to try this for the first time with you.
Yay.
So, l'chaim.
L'chaim.
It's very mango-y.
Yeah, I want to go sit on a desert island.
Yeah, it actually really is pleasant.
Yeah.
There's not too much yogurt in it, but it gives it a nice creamy thing. Oh, I like it. Okay, cool. Yay. There's a generous amount of rum in there too, but you can't taste it.
No, you can't. I like that. That's smart to remove the milk because we've had issues with curdling.
Yeah, it was very. So yeah, just
part of our learning process.
So in this one, it's based on this website. It is 4 tablespoons of Greek yogurt, 1 mango peeled, 3 teaspoons of sugar. I did not do as much sugar because you're not a big fan of the sweet drink, so I cut back on the sugar. A handful of ice cubes and a generous shot of dark rum. So that's what I did. A generous shot of dark rum, everything, and then just added a squeeze of lime. just because I had it sitting there, I was like, why not?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like you could add a little nutmeg in here.
Nutmeg, they say sprinkle some cardamom powder, but didn't have that. But pretend. So that, and I love that it's a woman, an Indian woman whose recipe I am using to just kind of give some kudos to other mixologists out there.
Yeah.
Yay, thanks for this delicious, delicious drink, Hari.
Yay.
I'm good, sorry. And I chose Rudyard Kipling, and I kind of told you this, but I'm going to tell our listeners this.
Yeah.
So as a librarian, during COVID and all this, I would have to do read-alouds via Zoom, and I couldn't always access the library, because we also have a library that's under construction.
You have two things.
It's been a weird year. So I went in and I just started digging through my old childhood books, and I pulled out this one book and I was like, oh my God, I used to love this story as a kid. I loved the artwork. It was so pretty. I just remember being so obsessed with this artwork. Mm-hmm. And so I pull it up and I'm like, okay, boys and girls, this is what we're going to read today. How the Leopard Got Its Sparks by Rudyard Kipling. Rudyard Kipling? What? I had that full reaction like on Zoom, and the kids are like, what is going on? I'm like, this is actually...
Don't you know what book you're reading?
This is actually... And I didn't know. And it was like, this is so exciting. Like, he's an actually well-known author. And so I got really excited. I was like, oh, there's clearly so much I don't know about him. Mm-hmm. Let's dive in. So that is what I'm bringing forth for you today.
Yay. We get to be like your kindergartners or whatever.
Yay. Yeah, it was kindergarten, first grade.
Perfect.
So, are you ready for the story of Rudyard Kipling?
Absolutely. Let's go.
And so I will start with that Kipling was born on December 30th, 1865 in Bombay to a John Lockwood Kipling.
Okay.
Sculptor, poet, pottery designer, principal, and professional.
Professional.
Nope, I'm just not able
So
to
he's the
talk
guy
today.
who sits behind people in the theater and is when they're talking too loud. He's a professional one of those. I would love to actually hire someone to do that for me sometimes when
If
I don't
I
want to feel rude.
If I could talk, because that's not, I didn't even mean professional. So Kipling was born on December 30th, 1865.
You don't have to start over from the very beginning. What does his dad do?
Okay, his dad is a sculptor, pottery designer, principal, and professor
Oh, professor.
of architectural sculpture at the art school in Bombay.
Nice.
And
Okay.
Mary MacDonald, who is not a quote-unquote dull woman, and with three other sisters, most of all of whom married artists.
Okay. So arty family.
Arty family.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to hit pause right there.
Okay.
Because you said to me, oh, I'm watching New Girl, and Schmidt associates Rudyard Kipling as being Indian.
Yeah, or being a part of India, like just like, oh,
Okay.
I know things about India, like this, that, Rudyard Kipling, you know?
Yeah, so Rudyard Kipling,
Deepak Chopra.
he's just a white dude, but he
Yeah.
lives in India for the first part of his life.
Okay.
So
He's
a white dude.
okay.
So-
So it's interesting. He's living in India, but like he's white, and like that's okay because it's the 1800s. There's probably there's all the colonization and stuff like that going on. But his parents aren't like political people; they're artists.
Yeah.
So that's fascinating.
Yeah, kind of. He's working for the school. His parents actually meet at Rudyard Lake in Stratfordshire, England. So they named him where they met.
Oh, that's cute.
I think it's cute, but I'm also like, it's like Ron Howard with how he names his daughters after the place they were conceived in.
Oh, in Arrested Development, probably not in real life.
No, in real life.
Oh, that's really true. Okay.
Mhm, yeah.
Oh yeah. So then Rebel Alley. Yeah. So that's okay. That's funny that they're making fun of that then.
Dallas Howard.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was in
Conceived in.
the Jurassic Park
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
Jurassic World movies. Yeah, because she was conceived in Dallas.
That's weird. That's weirder to do it where they were
It's
conceived.
really weird. So I was like, oh, that's cute, but also kind of like the ancient time of like
oh.
naming your child after the conceived place. I don't know.
I don't know about that. Yeah, I think your child's going to be weirded out when they,
Like, oh, great.
or they're going to be very, very, very much more comfortable with like talking about sex. Maybe I don't know. So that might be kind of cool.
But this wasn't about sex. This was that they met and they loved Rudyard Lake. So I think I'm pronouncing it pretty okay because it's a lake in England.
Yeah.
So I'm not too concerned. Except for, again, I have an American accent, so sorry about that. So Kipling was born on campus, and his parents thought themselves Anglo-Indian.
Okay.
People who are Brits, but feel like they actually belong in India.
Okay, cool.
Kipling felt this too for his whole life, and he lived in many different places, but he carried this spirit of India with him. Mm-hmm. So it creates a theme of identity and national allegiances in his literature. So you'll start seeing that now. You're like, oh, he's British, he's this white dude, but he was born in India. He had like people in his house that were Indian and was kind of raised on this like ideology, and he never really was able to let it go. So it's like this idea of like, just because you're born somewhere, does it make you that way, or what is it? It's kind of interesting, this idea of nationality, national allegiance. Mm-hmm. See. At the age of 5, however, he and his sister Trix, age 3, are sent to live in Portsmouth with a couple who board children with overseas parents for them to be educated in England.
Okay.
So it's just like hey, your kids can come live here so they can go to school in England, even though you're elsewhere in the world.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, they can get that proper education.
Yes.
And his sister Trix.
His sister Trix.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that might be short for something.
Yeah,
like
I just saw
Beatrix
Trix
or something.
Yeah, probably Beatrice or something. Yeah, I don't know. This was torture and lasted for 6 whole years.
Oh, so he did not like education.
He
or
liked
the family.
He didn't like the people. They would like actually torture him, and it was even worse on Trix. And it was not a pretty situation. It was difficult for him religiously and scientifically. So it was like they were like kind of probably those scary borders that are like, God will rain its wrath upon you. Go and strike yourself 4 times or whatever. It's like,
oh my gosh. Yeah.
But, quote, it gave me attention to the lies I soon found necessary to tell, and this, I presume, is the foundation of the literary effort. From Kipling's autobiography.
Aw. Yeah. Yeah. That, adversity makes you stronger sometimes.
Yeah, well.
Or it gives you perspective.
It taught him to lie, which is teaching you to storytell in a way, I guess.
Oh, okay. Oh, so okay, that part.
Yeah, yeah. More of like the, He
Like,
taught
you've
to
been
tell.
out all day. Where have you been, Rudyard?
Yes.
Church.
And again, you've got the full story going on. In spring of 1877, Mary, his mother, moves back to England, and removes her children from the house.
Okay.
They move to a farm called Golding's Farm for a carefree summer and fall. So 6 years of torture, and then now it's like, frolicking,
hang out,
fun.
Picnic, and
play in the lake probably.
Do one of those like sticks with the hoop at your throat, like just rolling down the street like a little boy.
And this is kind of what I loved about researching Kipling, is you'll see that he is both kind of somewhat ADHD, but also loves extreme calm.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Maybe that's because he kind of been
Maybe he's
ADHD.
HD. Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's a characteristic.
Yeah. This was a happy-go-lucky time for him in his life, but in January of 1878, he attends the United Services College of Westward Ho.
That sounds made up.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. It's actually a full
college, Westward Ho.
Westward Ho. It's a preparatory school for prepping for army life.
They need a better name.
Yeah.
Because that sounds like you're going to clown college. Like you're going to go be a rodeo clown. Right. Like Westward Ho College, We train magicians and rodeo clowns and people like balloon animalology 101. Like,
yeah. Yeah. But,
we have a whole class on just how to take a quarter from behind someone's ear.
I will totally take that class. Step 1, finding quarter. Make sure there's always 6 in your bucket.
Yeah. Like, analytics of why you paint your cheeks a certain rouge red when you have a purple wig or a red wig or an orange wig, like.
Totally. But no, this was a prep for army life. I know, I just love that. I was like, what? United Services College of Westward Ho.
Because we want people to take us seriously.
You could be their spokesperson. You said that so nicely. This was a pleasant experience for Kipling.
Nice.
He actually really loved it. He made friends, falls in love, etc., etc. Just total schoolboy, glory day stuff, you know? Like,
Okay.
oh, good times, you know, being a kid and just having fun and, oh, that girl's cute, I'm learning things. And at the end of schooling, he's actually not good enough academically to attend any higher education, specifically Oxford, and his parents did not have enough money. They're artists.
Yeah, that's true.
So his dad gets him a job at a newspaper in Lahore, India,
Okay.
at the Civil and Military Gazette.
Okay.
His dad was the curator of the museum there locally, so he's like, "Hey, come back to India. I've got a job for you. You can." It wasn't like he was showing aspirations of being a writer or anything. He was just being a schoolboy at a military school. And then all of a sudden he's like, "Well, you're not good academically, but come and work for this newspaper. I got you this job."
Yeah, I have a buddy who, you know, I can convince him to
Hire
get you a
up.
job or something.
Yes, exactly. So, Kipling arrives back in Bombay at the sweet age of 16 to start his new life.
Okay.
And when he arrives in Bombay, quote, the English years just melted away. It's like he was back home.
Ah.
Yeah.
All right.
And just like all of that past, 10 years of his past just kind of was like, it's gone. I'm back home.
Mm-hmm. It's no longer westward ho. It's now eastward ho.
Exactly. Yay. At the newspaper, he becomes an avid writer. So he's in Lahore writing for this civil and military gazette. He also is working for other local newspapers. But this one he's writing for is published 6 days a week.
Wow.
So he's constantly writing.
Yeah.
His editor worked him hard, but Kipling was unstoppable. The Gazette, the writing, was his mistress. He falls in love with writing and just does not stop. During summers, he wrote in all white to help with the heat.
Okay.
So you and him would look fun together.
Because I dress in all black.
He was said to look like a Dalmatian, all white, with ink spotting his entire wardrobe.
I was gonna say, I'm like, oh yeah, like the old with the ink pens and stuff, like the quilly
So just
kind
walking
of stuff.
around, just splattered in ink everywhere.
Yeah.
All white to stay cool.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
Right? I think you should think about it.
I would have to.
Or find white ink and do the opposite.
Oh. I need like black paper then, though, to be writing.
That's
white.
true. You would need black paper.
Otherwise, be like, here, look at all of the stuff I wrote. We can't see it.
It's there, I promise. He travels around India with his favorite time. So he's just riding and traveling, and his favorite time is in Simla. I'm really sorry. It was a magical month of writing and meeting people. Back in Lahore, 39 of his stories appear in the Gazette from November 1886 to June of 1887. So
Okay.
in less than a year, he has 39 stories published.
Wow.
So that's kind of like how unstoppable he is.
Yeah.
At 22, he is transferred to the Gazette's larger sister, The Pioneer, in Allahabad, where his writing does not slow down, and has 6 collections of short stories published in 1888.
Wow.
So he's unstoppable when it comes to the short stories. However, in 1889, there was a dispute, and he is discharged.
A dispute?
Yes, I wanted to find out what that dispute is. How do you get fired off of just a simple argument? Especially when you're Rudyard Kipling, who's like unstoppable with writing.
Yeah.
So,
Kipling, did you steal my pen?
You mean?
Yeah,
No.
it was sitting here on my desk.
You mean no? I mean what?
You're fired!
No! How dare you? Well, why will I look like a Dalmatian otherwise? So with some of the money he has saved from his time writing and his publications, he decides to return to England, specifically London, as it is the let's say considered,
Okay.
the cornerstone or epicenter of writing.
Okay.
which is fair.
Yeah. Especially writing in English.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, let's just say considered, because English writing,
Yeah.
if you're writing in any other language, probably not, but that's fair. However, this journey was not direct. He took his time getting back to England and traveled to San Francisco.
That's the wrong direction.
Yep. Goes to San Francisco and travels all over the U.S. and Canada. He goes to Portland, Seattle, British Columbia, Alberta, Yellowstone, Salt Lake City, Omaha, Chicago, Beaver, Pennsylvania, Niagara Falls, Toronto, D.C., New York, and Boston.
Okay.
So, small detour.
Yeah. Yeah. Just keep going east until eventually I make my way back to England.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
So, this was a funny story. While in the U.S., he was a huge fan of Mark Twain, so he seeks out Mark Twain and goes to Twain's house in New York unannounced. Quote, "It occurred to me for the first time that Mark Twain might have other arrangements other than the entertainment of escaped lunatics from India, be they ever so full of admiration." End quote.
I now love that there's authors who do that. You know, I mean, we don't have an episode hasn't been published, but it was our live one where we talk about a lunatic who did that.
Yes, exactly.
I will publish it at some point. So that, but yeah, I kind of love hearing authors do that to other authors.
I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, all right.
So he just goes to Mark Twain's house. Hi. I just love that quote, though.
It's like a crazy girl sitting outside of Justin Bieber's house.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Rudyard Kipling is basically...
I actually heard a story of, like, there was some girl stalking, like, Robert Patterson, or, like, waiting outside his hotel room or something, or apartment that he was, like, staying at for some movie. And she would just be, like, standing and staying out there, like, all the time until, like, one day he finally went out there because he was bored inside of his apartment and had dinner with her, like, just outside. And he just sat there complaining about his life, and she never showed up ever again.
Well, that is one way to get rid of you.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, my life, it sucks, this and that, da da da. And she's just like, okay, I don't think I like you anymore.
Yeah, you never do want to meet your heroes. Yeah. So, but they ended up actually opposite of this story. Mark Twain and Rudyard Kipling ended up having a 2-hour pleasant chat.
Nice.
They actually ended up getting along famously. This is a quote from Twain on Kipling. "Between us, we cover all knowledge. He covers all that can be known, and I cover the rest." I like that.
I love him.
Yeah, right? I loved him too. And I love that they got together and were friends. Yay. So, basically, they get along. So, he did this whole, like, you know, North American tour. Or North American tour, because he didn't hit Mexico. Mm-hmm. But he also travels to Singapore and Japan. He falls in love in Japan with a geisha named O Toyo.
Okay.
He eventually returns to England via Liverpool in October 1889.
Okay, so
I would love to point out that he got fired in 1889.
Oh, wait.
From India.
Okay.
He left India in 1889.
Oh, wow. So
and he returns to Liverpool in 1889. And he covered
a lot.
So much.
Yeah.
And this is before flying.
Yeah. Wow.
What?
That's amazing.
I was like, this could be a typo. If it's a typo and I read it and I'm sorry, I was just like, what the?
Yeah.
How do you travel in 1 year?
Mm-hmm. He's putting those like Instagram travel people, blogger people to shame.
Exactly. He does, because he's doing this on trains and boats and stuff, and he's just like, I mean, this was where I saw the ADHD. I'm like, you covered so much ground.
Yeah.
In a year, less than a year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What? Yeah, he's those.
Go guy.
So, over the next 2 years, while he's living in England, he writes a novel called The Light That Failed, meets an American publishing agent writer, and they become BFFs, and has a nervous mental breakdown.
Uh-oh.
So, kind of a busy 2 years.
Yeah.
But not too bad.
Yeah. I mean, Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to slow down your traveling, it's probably like his brain is like, go, 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 and so he was probably already in process. And then it's like, now you're kind of slowed down and it's like, oh my God, working again, which will be all of us in a month when we all have to go back to the world.
True. Oh my God,
we've all been
so
like,
true.
Whatever, do whatever. It's been this year of kind of,
we're not traveling, but still we're like,
yeah. And then it'll
like,
just be like, oh my God, this last year, like, holy fudge, what happened?
that's good. I'll be here for you.
Okay, I'll
since
be here for you
I have been
too.
having to work at a physical I've been able to work at a physical
location,
and you were here for me because I did already have that mental breakdown.
Yep.
Oh, that's true. Oh my God, I'm figuring myself out. I'm figuring out the world. See, this podcast teaches me so much. So in 1891, after his mental breakdown, I love this, the doctors tell him to take to the sea on another voyage.
Okay. Sure.
I want that doctor.
Yeah.
I want
Take to the sea.
I want to have a doctor's note that says
You need a vacation.
she needs to take a vacation. So she gets to leave the country.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you go to like declare, like, do you have anything to declare? And it's all like, yeah, I was told by a doctor that I should be getting. So can you give me a visa so I can travel around your country? Because why
I was told by a
are you
doctor.
here? For business, pleasure, this, that.
Mental breakdown.
They'll be like, I don't know if we want to approve this. I have to talk to my supervisor.
Right. Or like even handing that into work, just being like, it's the busiest time. It's like I have it's the busiest time at work, but here's my doctor's note.
It's a prescription pad that just says "Take to the sea."
I guess we have to let you go.
Yeah, I'm not being put on pills. I was told to go off sailing.
Yeah, just go explore. Mm-hmm. And he does South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand, and then back to India to see his family.
Nice.
So yeah, he's like going to the opposite side of the world on this one.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. Based on a doctor's note. Oh, I love it. So, however, sadly, during this time, his friend Balstier, I didn't say it earlier because I've been so nervous to say it, Balstier, dies of typhoid.
Ooh.
He cuts his time in India short to return back to London because this was his dear friend. But he also proposes to the guy's sister via telegraph.
Oh, God.
And she accepts.
Ew. Poor girl.
She's just like, oh my God, I'm so devastated. My best friend just died. Can you write this telegraph for me? Yeah. Hey, we get married now?
She's like, I guess I am 24, so practically an old maid.
She is older than him, too.
Oh my God. That's like proposing to someone in a text message.
Yeah.
No, it's like proposing to someone in an email.
Yeah. 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 And then it's like it's sending an email that the person only checks the email every 4 days or something.
Yeah.
So you don't know when they read it. And if you changed your mind or if they changed their mind.
Yeah, because you don't have a read receipt. That's why I'm like, not really text. I mean, I don't put, a lot of people don't. Only sociopaths have read receipts on there.
I know. I agree.
But
I don't want to see that you read my text and then
didn't not respond. I know. I'm like,
you read it.
Yeah, excuse me.
I mean, there's often times where I'll read it and I know other people have read it, but we get distracted. But you don't know the difference.
Right, exactly.
We could all be busy. It's fine. But if I see read,
yeah, that's why it's more like email. It's like someone sent an email and proposed to you through email.
Dear Carrie, stop. Will you marry me? Stop. The end. Stop. So, but she accepts.
Cool.
Once he returns to London, he and Caroline Starr Ballister, aka Carrie, marry in January of 1982.
Okay.
Just really quick.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's go.
Yeah.
This is during an influenza epidemic.
Oh.
And I had to throw this in here because I know it's a sensitive subject, but it did make me chuckle a little bit about the way Brits used to handle things.
Okay.
So this is during an influenza epidemic. So again, they're just not waiting. They're just ready. They're going to get married. Totally. We've seen it this year. Congratulations to everyone who did it. Really proud of everyone. But this is what cracks me up. There was a shortage of black horses, so the dead had to be amenable to the brown ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta ask my dead uncle if he's okay with a brown horse instead of a black one.
I was like, that was a real concern. Like, we've run out of black horses, but there's so many people who've passed away. It's not like, well, how about like making sure that these people just don't pass away or something? Like, well, instead we're very concerned because there's no more black horses. Yeah. The dead are going to have to deal with the brown ones. Can you just imagine that rich person that's freaking out over not having the black horses?
I know, right?
Wow.
Like, can we at least get a dark brown? Like, this one has a white spot. I don't want it.
Oh, right? Oh my God.
What if we dye the horses? Is that okay? I mean,
Right?
I just don't want Charles to know. He won't be able to tell if we dyed it.
Exactly. I'm seeing this actual conversation. I just put you in 1880s hairstyles and a big dress standing at the morgue talking about your poor past Charles. Complaining about not having a black horse. Mm-hmm. Oh, God. So, they decide to honeymoon in Vermont.
Interesting.
So she's American.
Okay.
I think they're British American, but they had family in America. So her other brother has land over there. So they go to be closer to her family in her family's house in Vermont. Then they travel to Japan, where they find out that their bank has failed. So they return to Vermont and stay in a little cottage. It's adorable. But they're like in Japan, go to take money out of the bank account.
Yeah.
The bank has failed.
Ooh.
What do we do?
Well, then.
Let's just go back to Vermont.
All right, get back on the boat.
Hey, take it in stride. I like it. Their first daughter, Josephine, is born December 29th, 1892.
Oh, happy birthday to him.
His first daughter?
Yeah, because his birthday's December 30th.
Oh, yes. So, yes.
Early birthday gift.
Early birthday gift. Well, and this is a quote of Kipling's. And since Kipling's birthday is 30th and Carrie's is the 31st, he was happy about that. He said she had sense of the fitness of things. Because she was born on the 29th, 30th, 31st.
Yeah.
She knew how to fit in the family.
Yes. Oh, that's
Kipling
cute.
cracks me up with a lot of his quotes. I'm happy. My daughter had a sense of the fitness of things. During the winter in the cottage, in the, quote, stillness and suspense of the winter of 92, childhood memories appeared. And he starts to outline the books for the Jungle Books. Because there's 2 books.
Okay.
So it's not the Jungle Book. It's the
Jungle Books.
Yeah, there's 2. There's the Mowgli's stories and then something else. So there's 2. So I guess it's kind of the Jungle Books, but it's Jungle Book. I don't know.
The Jungle Book series, I guess. But it's not a series.
It's only 2.
So, yeah. I guess it is still kind of a series. I don't know. It's a sequel. I don't know. Whatever. Jungle Books.
Jungle Books.
The Jungle Book books?
The Jungle Book books. Oh, I like that. That's fun.
Let's see if a publisher will agree.
And this is the part where you're charged per letter? Sure. Add more. How about the Jungles books? Let's make more money, people. However, it is a rather cramped little cottage, so they buy 10 acres. They buy 10 acres off of Carrie's other brother, the one they kind of moved to be closer to, and build a house on Kipling Road, what is now known as Kipling Road.
Okay. I was
Vermont.
like, that's weirdly ironic. Is that why they chose Vermont? We have to find a Kipling Road because it'll be really cute.
And we'll build our cottage and it'll be amazing. And it was designed after aspects of India. It's actually very modern looking to me, but so I'd love for an architect to tell me like what is happening. Because I like dove into it's a historic monument now. You can go and look at it. It's like it kind of looks like a big green school building to me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Gwen, Brittany, this is for you. My architect friends
that
that listen.
Yes, please explain it to me. So the next 4 years very calm, peaceful, kind of the antithesis of his life so far. But it provides this perfect space for him to write a lot. He writes both Jungle Books. Question on the title right now. Jungle Books? Who knows?
If you find them in the jungle, then it's the Jungle's Jungle Books.
A book of short stories, a novel called Captains Courageous, lots and lots of poems, and correspondence with children writing to him about said Jungle Books.
Aww.
So they would read it and write him letters, and he would write back.
Aww.
How cute is that?
What's this Captain Crunch thing?
Captains Courageous?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I like Captain Crunch better. I'll read the book while eating Captain Crunch. Maybe sipping Captain Morgan.
Yes. Right.
I feel like that's been done before, Captain Crunch with like Captain Morgan.
Like, oh, gross. But yeah, I'm sure.
It's like instead of the milk. Mm-hmm. Right? It's gotta be something.
Or you get like...
It sounds terrible.
It does sound terrible. I don't think I've ever had Captain Crunch before. I heard it like rips up your mouth or something.
It doesn't, I mean, if you eat
it's
like
just
a
like
half
sweet.
of a box.
It's just like sweet wafer things or something.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've had Captain Crunch. I kind of sometimes miss those sugary cereals, and then I'm like, no, I don't.
You can make like a cocktail that has Captain Morgan with Captain Crunch like flavoring or something in it. I don't know.
Yeah, those are dangerous.
Yeah, or they have like those creamers like made based off of different cereals and stuff.
Yeah,
it's like I'm sure there's a Captain Crunch flavored creamer.
Yeah, there probably is. There's this bar in Seattle, and it does these very, very sugary drinks. Oh my god, it's called the Unicorn Bar. I think that's what it's called.
Makes sense.
And there is a drink that they have that's called Milk of Lucky Charms.
Oh,
and it tastes like the milk after eating a bowl of Lucky Charms.
Okay.
It is crazy, reminds you of childhood, but that is the biggest recipe for Hangover Central.
Yeah.
The amount of sugar in that was just like...
God.
It was like, you have that first sip and you're like, wow, childhood. And you have that second one, you're like, ugh, this is so sugary. And then the next one, you're like, ugh, oh God, my head is already pounding.
Why?
Why did I do this to myself? Why do you fall for the kitschy things? Because they're cute.
Mm-hmm. It's a very angry cute.
It's very angry cute. It's like, it's so fluffy, I'm gonna die. Shout out to the what's that movie with the Minions?
Despicables.
Yeah, Despicable Me. So, here we are. He's writing. He's happy. Their second daughter is born. They have many visitors. Most notably, Arthur Conan Doyle.
Oh!
Who comes to visit him and teaches him golf. And he obsesses over golf. He even dyes golf balls red so he can play golf in the snow.
Oh, that's genius. We need to tell we need to tell the golf course near us.
Right? I mean, you can now just buy colored golf balls.
I know, but like to have colored golf balls, like, because I mean, I feel like I associate the color balls with mini golf. Like,
yes.
That's a mini golf thing. People don't have colored balls for like regular golf. But like, yeah, so you could have like blue and pink and purple and and you could go play snow golf.
I'd be so down for snow golf.
It'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, and he did it. Right? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
Wait, it's not snowing. It's actually really hot.
Damn it.
Damn it. Put a damper on our plans here, people.
Thanks, global warming.
Didn't you know it's January? We're coming off a little aggressive right now. I think it could be the heat.
The heat and the cool drink. It's like helping the insides. Like,
ooh, right?
Yum, yum, yum.
Nom, nom, nom. So, his dad comes visits. It's just a good old time. So he spends his days socializing, writing, playing outside, being an outdoorsy man.
Okay, cool.
He could have easily just ended his life there. Nope. Let me rephrase that.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm sorry.
He could have easily spent the rest of his days and just retired out there and lived happily ever after out there.
Yeah, writing letters back to children and playing golf and, hanging out with Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
And just having a good old time. But it doesn't happen that way. They leave for two reasons. A Venezuelan dispute between England and the U.S. So there's like some political turmoil that happens.
Let me guess, there's
it
oil
ends
involved.
Peacefully. There was what?
Let me guess, there's oil involved.
It was more, well, probably.
Oil and communism.
Yeah, but this was like the 1880s.
Yeah, still. 1880s. Oil and communism.
Yeah. I don't know. I read it, but it was just like, meh.
Yeah.
Because it ended peacefully, so it was like, okay, stupid that they even... Poor Venezuela is like, hello, excuse me.
Yeah.
And they're just like fighting over it. It's like, ugh, again, big dumb countries being big dumb countries.
Yay, America.
Causing, but this in the U.S. causes major anti-British sentiment.
Okay.
So he's feeling a lot of hostility towards himself of being a Brit. Even though he's like, I identify as being Indian, but I'm a Brit. This is confusing. What do I do?
Yeah.
And then there's an altercation with his brother-in-law who threatened him harm, like physical harm, while he was intoxicated. This leads to the brother's arrests in May of 1896, but they've had it. So by June 1896, 2 months later, before the trial resumes, they basically just are like, we're out, we're done.
Oh.
Pack up and leave.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They're like, we're over it.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't wait out the trial, because what if, brother ends up in jail or whatever, but...
Well, I mean, if you're not there, excuse me. I mean, if you're not there to, participate, I mean, maybe it's kind of almost like a peace offering in a sense of like, you're not there to be like the witness. And so therefore, like maybe he'll just, if anything, he'll get like a slap on the wrist because there's not someone there to really stand up for the fact that he did something, shitty towards you.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And so then it's like, kind of like, hey, let's, I don't forgive you really for what you did, but I don't feel like it needs to really be so seriously legal. Like legalities don't need to be involved with, a family dispute. I'm just never going to talk to you again, you piece of shit, but like, yeah. I don't know if we need to get a judge involved with the situation.
Yeah, that actually kind of makes sense. That actually makes perfect sense. Yeah. Okay, that clarified everything. I was like,
because brother-in-law, that's like then his wife's brother. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's probably like also like I don't want to piss her off too much.
Yeah. No, and especially because they bought the land from him.
Yeah,
so they live close to him.
Yeah, so it's not
so
good.
It could just be like, what, let's just move. We're done.
Yeah.
So they moved.
No matter what happens, this is not going to be good because we're like neighbors as well as family.
Yeah. This is talk about your awkward Thanksgiving dinner. So they moved to
Devon. Good thing I'm British/Indian and I don't care about Thanksgiving. Who? Sorry. Oh.
Your computer is ringing.
I know. I have to make sure I put that on silent when it. Yeah, it's my sister.
Oh.
Sorry. So they moved.
They moved to Devon. Kipling is well known at the time and has an active social life, but hates living there. He's like, people are coming to visit. He's writing. Everything's busy, but he's like, this is just not me.
Oh. So it's like, hi, welcome to the house. Hope everything's great. I hate it here.
Yeah, I really hate this house.
Yeah, don't you hate this? Don't you hate this place? Yeah.
I hate this house.
So
how are you?
Yeah, what have you been up to?
Yeah, exactly. So, how about them angels? They do welcome their first son while living in Devon.
Okay.
And during this time, he starts to kind of move into more political stuff. So before this, it's kind of very much more like, kids-friendly poems. Everything's like interesting, exciting, and alive. And now all of a sudden, his life kind of takes a turn into a more political movement.
Interesting.
Very interesting. He works on 2 poems.
How old is he at this point?
So this is 1896. He's probably in his 40s, I'm going to say.
Okay.
Mathematically. 1840s. Oh, no. He's like 31.
Oh, wow. What?
31 to,
wow.
Yeah, early 30s to mid 30s.
Wow. Okay.
Math. Wow. Who knew?
Yeah. Did a lot of cool stuff so far.
Yeah, right? He's only 31. This is really making me feel really good about my birthday, my 31st birthday. It's coming up right now. Oh, God. Anyway... So he writes these 2 poems that cause major controversy.
All right.
I read a lot about it. I cannot tell. I read the 2 poems. I can't tell if it's intentional, controversial, or is it that he's writing with irony? Is it a warning? I can't tell if it's actually anti or pro-imperialism, so that's where the irony kind of comes in.
Oh, right, okay.
It's kind of like a warning about imperialism, so it's this kind of, if we keep trying to control the world, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
I don't know. I suggest reading them. I don't know. A lot of websites are like, he was totally imperialistic, blah, blah, blah. And others are like, no, it's like tongue in cheek. Like he's sitting there saying, no, we suck for being imperialists. And
like Jonathan Swift and Eating the Babies.
yes, exactly. So I don't know. So I'll be curious what other people think.
Yeah. I would think that like he grew up in India. But he's not, he was there as a kid. And so he might have a version of like, the idea of, British people being in India and all of that being a lot more friendly than, than this, totalitarian government, taking over an area. And so I could see that being part of the whole, like, is it this way or that way? Because he might be okay with, condoning imperialism because of the fact that like he's like grew up in a happier, like more la 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 childlike version of it, or because he has such a well-rounded, he's traveled so all over the world and he's seen so many different things and grew up and was born in India and stuff that like, and his parents are artists and so they weren't a part of like a government, so there's probably not this like pro-government like information and fodder being like fed to you as a child, that maybe he had more of an appreciation of the culture than like we're just white people who live in a place that's not really white. And so he could be anti. I don't know. I mean, his life doesn't really lend to be in one direction or the other.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool.
I'm glad you got the theme of what I was going for, because I could have written a 10-page paper on Kipling. There's so much out there, but it's more about like this idea of like, what does he identify with? He's not in one direction.
Yeah,
he's pulled in so many different directions.
Mm-hmm. He's a man of the world.
Yeah. Exactly. So he's so interesting, but I chose to focus on this part. So I'm glad that you brought that up because it is kind of like that idea of like, so is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
He also publishes even more short stories and starts a tradition of wintering in South Africa.
Nice.
So again, not even full-time year in England.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone and he winters in South Africa.
Right. Yeah. He doesn't really seem to like England very much.
No. In 1897, so yeah, he's like 32, 33. Oh my gosh. The family moves to Sussex, and he finally finds permanence in his home. So at 33, he finally settles down enough where this is ultimately where he spends the rest of his days. Nice. Is in this house in Sussex. He takes a trip to the U.S. with his family. He and his daughter contract pneumonia while on that vacation.
Oh.
And she ultimately dies.
Oh.
And he is totally just gutted. And this, in the wake of this tragedy, is when he writes the Just So stories that I was telling you about in the beginning.
Yeah.
So that's where leopard got its spots and, the how the elephant got its nose. And these are published in 1902. And it's interesting. I would want to have a conversation and about how Africans feel about these stories and about him publishing them. Like, is it insensitive? I don't know. But when you read them, there is this undertone of that the author is speaking to a child. Okay. Like you read these. You read, and I've been reading a lot of kids' books. You read a lot of kids' books, and it's just telling a story. But this is these stories. They're so intricately and beautifully written because it really does feel like you're the child, and the pages are the grown-up that are snuggling you in to tell you this story. And knowing that it was in the wake of this tragedy makes me love that even more. Like,
Yeah.
he just wanted to tell his little girl more stories.
Yeah.
And he couldn't. And this is how he did it. Therapeutic through art.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know how these are, because there's this kind of, when you read them, colloquialisms that, are they offensive? I don't know. I want to be educated, so let me know if I'm being a total idiot. But these stories are so interesting, and I love the artwork from the publications that came out in the 90s. So, like I said, now his political career is starting to happen. He is acknowledged for his power in his writing, and so he starts to write more nonfiction pieces, political pieces, and speculative fiction.
Okay.
The tension in mainland Europe is starting to build, because this is the early 1900s.
Okay. Yeah.
And he's interviewed in magazines. He's asked to intervene in Canadian politics with writing propaganda.
All right.
Yeah, so it's like all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, he's powerful. Oh, people listen to him. People like him." This Canadian prime minister is like, "Hey, can you write propaganda so that we can win?" And it wasn't great, but he did it. And yeah, and then he's interviewed in a French magazine, and kind of this is a quote from this French magazine. The unfree peoples of Central Europe are living in the Middle Ages with machine guns. I love that quote.
Wow.
Yeah. And like that's kind of stuff that he's quoted saying these kind of stuff, doing interviews, writing political pieces. He writes The Army of a Dream, which is a collection of short stories and reads like a science fiction novel. And it is about an efficient and more responsible army than the hereditary bureaucracy of England's military in the current times.
Okay. So it's essentially like, so it's science fiction because he's like, yeah, just kind of writing this more futuristic.
It reads like a science fiction.
Oh.
It's not an actual science fiction.
Oh, okay.
It reads, they say it like kind of is like one of his works that reads more like a sci-fi novel. I don't know if sci-fi novels were like 100% identified back then.
Yeah, they were.
As like a sci. Okay.
I mean, kind of. I mean, well, people could count like Frankenstein as like the first real sci-fi because.
Yes, and I agree that there were sci-fi type books,
Yeah,
but I don't know if
fiction.
it had the actual label of like, this is a sci-fi book.
No, not back. No, it didn't really come in until I think it was like the 40s.
I was going to say something
or
like
something
that, yeah.
when it was like, yeah,
'Cause
and it was
even
like
H.G.
pop
Wells-
novels and stuff.
H.G. Wells was
20s
writing around this time, and
maybe?
he was a science fiction novelist,
Yeah.
but I don't think was ever actually identified as a science fiction
Right,
novelist.
yeah,
at the
yeah,
time.
yeah. It didn't become, like the phrase. But then we look back and we're like, oh, this was already kind of existing for a while in different ways.
Yep.
Yeah. So
So I don't know if it's actually considered sci-fi or just reads like a sci-fi because it wasn't identified at the
well,
time.
what
but
makes it read like a sci-fi? Like,
just because I think it is, this like what's going to happen in this weird like world where things change and we have like a fake army. I don't know.
yeah,
It's
okay.
a huge commentary about the military of England
Yeah.
in the early 1900s.
Yeah, and like a projection of like what it could look like or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's historical fiction, sci-fi.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm interested. In 1907, he is awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature.
Woohoo!
And this prize is actually bookended with 2 poetry collections that are published. So one before and one after the award.
Nice.
And one of these collections contains the poem If, which in 1995 was voted as England's favorite poem.
Interesting.
So like almost 100 years later, England votes as like, this is still our favorite poem. So that's cool. And so now we're here at in the early 1900s, and World War I breaks out.
Okay.
He supports the war and views it as civilization versus barbarianism, especially after the sinking of the Lufthansa. He's asked to write propaganda and does so. So he's out writing propaganda pieces, getting people to rally up in the war efforts. He's out there, he's working. But like many Brits, he's still very upset over England's failures during the war. Because as you know, like in World War One, oh, we'll be done by Christmas.
Yeah.
4 years later, it's still not done. So, and a lot of England, a lot of, British people were very frustrated. Like, you said this war was going to be over. Like, da-da-da. And so he was very frustrated, but in his own ways, like, oh my God, I'm so frustrated.
Yeah.
But hey, keep going with that war support.
Yeah. We gotta support the war, and everyone put on the brave face for our troops out there.
Yeah, exactly. But he's super frustrated.
Everyone's just like, I'm so sick of this. Like,
and it gets worse. Because his son dies in the war. His
Oh,
son,
no.
John, dies in the war at age 18.
oh, poor
During the
baby.
second year of the war.
Oh.
Or first full year of the war.
Yeah.
He is grief-stricken and writes the poem, My Boy Jack, which later inspires a play and subsequent TV series. And
Really?
it's about Rudyard Kipling and his grief over the loss of his son during war.
Wow.
So, check out that TV series. Gotta do that now, right?
Yeah. What? Like,
By
when
the
was
same
it?
name, My
Yeah.
Boy
Yeah.
Jack,
My Boy
yeah.
Jack. When was that made?
I didn't see that part. I should have looked at that, but I didn't. TV, hello. I love it. I wrote this in here for you too. He, to deal with his grief, reads aloud Jane Austen to his wife and daughter, and this helps him with his sorrow.
Oh.
I love that. Next time I'm feeling sad, I'm just going to whip out Persuasion and just start reading Persuasion.
Oh, I know, right? Louisa Musgrove. Mm-hmm. You gotta, that one's a good one too, and it's simple. And
It is. It's really short.
Yeah.
So you can do it in an afternoon. Heal your soul.
Yeah. Aw.
I know, isn't that sweet? And he joins what is now known as a different name, but I'm just going to do the current name. He is now known as the Commonwealth War Grave Commission. So he becomes a gardener for graves.
Cool.
So he's like
Nice.
out there making sure they look pretty, and I
Yeah.
love that. For doing all the flowers and just making sure that there's respect for the dead, and
That's awesome.
oh, you're so cool.
Sounds like a good job to have in retirement.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Plus, then, if you're really old, you can kind of like be creepy. Like you could be the creepy old person at the,
Going around,
scare kids
the
away.
little kids around Halloween.
Yeah. You hold the lamp with a candle in it, and like wear a big old black coat, and frizz up your hair all crazy, and like, what is going on? Who are you?
Who are you? What is going on?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Probably better than like having an actual like bodyguard or police officer there. Oh my God, it's a ghost. Let's get the fuck out.
He actually writes a book about it called The Gardener, or The Garden.
Oh,
I might have mistyped on that one. The Gardener, or Garden.
cool.
So again, he really uses art as therapy a lot.
I mean, as we all should.
As we all should. Finally, the war ends. But he's, not really. It's just a really hard few years. But his political stuff does not end. He is super anti-communist and spends the next several years butting heads with Russia.
Of course. But
This is when his works are actually finally being translated into Russia. Into Russian.
Interesting.
So, under Lenin, his works are finally getting translated, and yet he's like, communism sucks! Da-da-da. The translations were all started with an obligatory attack on Kipling, so every translation starts with him being called a fascist and imperialist.
Sure.
So you just open up a book. Rudyard Kipling is a fascist imperialist. Da-da-da-da.
Now read
And
about
here's the
Mowgli.
book.
Read about the little boy that was raised in the jungle.
I think that's absolutely hilarious, and so Russia, kudos to you being just so funny and clever, and just do you, Russia. You do you.
Yeah.
I just love that.
Here's my opinion. Now enjoy your novel.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. However, his works were still so popular that they actually didn't ban his works until 1939.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So this was in the 20s, so it took like almost 20 years probably
Yeah.
until his works actually started being banned.
Yeah, because of who he was, not
Yeah.
because of what he wrote.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because it's like, it's not like he's writing something that's necessarily controversy. I'm guessing the stuff that is being translated is like not controversial stuff. And so it's like, I mean, I guess we can have this, but hopefully they don't like Google him, you know?
Exactly. Good thing Google wasn't around.
He would have been banned much quicker.
Yes. So, right. Exactly. The whole right and proposing via telegraph.
It took them 20 years to get the information from their friends in England. Who's this guy?
So he's just out there kind of being quirky and political and writing things and just doing his thing. So he doesn't write a lot of like fiction that's notable, or, you know, like he does, but it's just kind of, he's taking this political dive.
Okay.
It's super interesting. He's just like, again, it's hard to pin him. It's his identity. What is your identity, sir?
He doesn't even know. He's like, I mean, I was kind of here and there, and so I have a little bit of all of that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, on that, I will say, so my friend, plug to my friend Shuhei, who he wrote this book. I took her name. And so it's
You told me about that. I want to read it.
Yeah. If you want to borrow, yeah. And it's a great book because, I mean, it's very much about a guy finding his identity as like a feminist. I think that's what like is like the selling point, you know. But like what I really gathered from it is the fact that like he's Japanese. Like that's how I kind of met him, was that he's from, his family's from Japan and everything, but he lived in the United States. He was my prom date, or he went to this private school and he needed a prom date, and so I ended up being his prom date, and it was like the best ever. And like,
how fun.
and so he talks also about the whole idea of like not having a real identity, because like when he'd be in Japan, people saw him as like Japanese American, you know, and being in America and like being this like samurai, like good looking Japanese guy, people just see him as being a Japanese guy, not being, you know, American. Yeah. And so he kind of talks about that stuff a lot. And just like how that sort of helped him be able to identify himself a little bit more as a feminist in Japan, because it's outside, he was already feeling like an outsider. And so he was more receptive of kind of being outside of like the traditional ways of, you know, having a husband-wife team and all of that. Yeah. So it's, but I love when he's talking about like the Japanese American stuff, because it's like, oh yeah, that's who you are. You aren't Japanese, you aren't American, you are just, you know, somewhere in the middle, you know?
Yeah. And I think
and
that's kind of what Rudyard's going through too. And I think that's what I found fascinating, because I haven't read that one, but I just finished a book called Homegoing by I'm sorry if I hate being so ignorant sometimes. Ginsen? I don't know how to say her last name. She wrote Homegoing, and one of the characters is, her parents are from Ghana, and the story takes place in a lot of the Gold Coast of Africa, and it's a fascinating, really beautiful read. I suggest it to everyone. But one of the characters, her parents had immigrated from Ghana, but she goes back to Ghana every summer, and so it's the same kind of a thing. She's in the U.S. and it's like, oh, well, you know, you're just this black person, and and she's down in the South, and it's this, you know, pushing away. You don't necessarily belong. But then she goes to Ghana, and they're like, oh, you're American, and she's like, but I'm Ghana. I'm from Ghana, and it's just like, I found that interesting, and I kind of think I might have been channeling that a little bit while doing this research, because I was reading that book at the same time as I was doing this. I'm like, this idea of identity, of where you're born, what you identify with, who you are, it's just very interesting.
Yeah, what raised you in a sense, like location wise.
Yeah. It's all so interesting. So, World War II is now starting to brew.
Okay.
We've got some animosity, some stuff's happening over in mainland Europe again. And he's just like, he's realized his power of speech and his power of word. And so he becomes very verbally and writing outspoken against Germany and the rise of Nazism.
Yeah.
So he's big, like,
Wow.
So, for an example of something that happened, originally a lot of his books had swastikas as in one of the first covers, because it is originally an Indian design representing well-being and peace and long list of good things. And he had it like wrapped into an elephant, but that's because he identified with his
being Indian.
being Indian.
Oh my gosh, but you're a white guy from Europe, and so it's like, wait a minute.
Yep. So
like, has he been secretly a Nazi way before Nazism? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's crazy. But what he does is he orders all of them to be taken down and removed from every book.
Wow.
So once the rise of Nazism and they start using the swastika for horrible meanings, he has to change that identity. Like, again, because he's a white guy that's actually British by heritage, he takes it all down. Like, so now if you ever see a Rudyard Kipling with a swastika in it, you realize that it wasn't
swastika. It's him being Indian.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
But,
and it's an old book.
And it's an old book because he was like, no more, done. We're taking this out. Stop production now, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, and he's verbally goes on speeches and campaigns and writes propaganda against Nazi Germany. And he does this in a huge speech on May 6th in 1935. So he's just like, I'm not slowing down this political power. His writing has slowed somewhat, but not stopped. So his side writing, his more like artsy storytelling writing, he's now really focusing on this political movement. So he does this speech in May, everything's going, but in January of 1936, he suffers a hemorrhage in his small intestine.
Ooh.
He has surgery, but dies a week later of complications post-surgery.
Oh, man. Oh.
So a very, very abrupt ending to a prolific career.
Yeah.
Like, I was like reading, I'm like, oh my God, we still got more. He's only 70 years old.
Yeah.
We're going. He's a political advocate now. He's fighting. He's got the word and he's ready. He's got the energy.
Yeah.
And then he dies of a hemorrhage and complications from surgery.
Oh, wow.
I was like, whoa.
And that's it.
And that's that.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
I had to give it that level of abruptness because that's how I read it. Like, it was so abrupt. It was like, reading, we're going. Oh, this research, this tab, da-da-da.
And then he's
dead.
What?
And he died at 70.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Which is so young to me nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the story of Rudyard Kipling.
Oh, wow. I love, he seems so inspiring as like a traveler person. It's just like, I want to go all over, I want to travel all over and see everything. And
I would love his life to have like a cool cottage and just be like outdoorsy, writing, socializing, and then just traveling a bunch.
Yeah, I know. What a great life.
I don't want to lose my son to a war or my daughter to pneumonia, but other than that, I want everything else.
Yeah.
So there's the crazy story of Rudyard Kipling.
Wow. Nice. Good job.
So fun facts.
Yes.
His cousin was a prime minister in the 1920s and 1930s.
Okay. Of
England.
Okay. Yeah.
So one of his pallbearers was the prime minister.
Nice. Former prime minister.
Former prime minister. Current prime minister when he died.
Oh, really? It was
current.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because it was 20s and 30s.
So cool.
He died in 1936. He was also a Freemason. And this one is the one that made me giggle and like so happy. He wrote the very first Christmas speech for King George V in 1932.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. He wrote the very first speech. I loved it.
Oh.
So that's the story with our yummy mango cocktail in the heat of this June day.
Yes.
The heat of
the June day.
So there you go.
I just really like that he was well traveled. I think that's just so cool, and I think it's fun how it was almost out of just not like completely necessity, but it's sort of like, I got fired, so screw this, I'm gonna travel around the world right now, like right. On my way, I'm going to England, guys, I'll see you in like several months, and yeah, I think that's just kind of fun. And then it's like, oh, okay, I'm really burned out from my job, I'm experiencing like burnout, so I'm gonna go travel some more. And yeah. I think it's just pretty freaking cool. And it's just like all of that is really ends up being cut off because his friend dies, and then he marries his friend's sister, and so then it's like, that's all awesome, like what a way to take bad things that are happening in your life and make it turn out really well. You know, that whole, you know, was it a good thing? Was it a bad thing? Let's all find out. Let's see how it goes. And it's like, yeah, it all turns out as like fun and cool and, you know, very exciting.
Yeah, and just the way, like, his quotes, I don't usually do a ton of quotes, but this one I was like, I love what he says. Like, a lot of it was like, oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, you're a funny guy.
You're funny. I do. I love the...
No wonder he got
Mark
along
Twain
well
one.
with, Mark Twain. It makes sense that
Yeah.
he would, you know, be a fan and also, like, get along with him because they're both very witty people.
Yeah. Just, I love that. Calling himself a lunatic from India. An escaped lunatic from India. So what do you think of the pairing with the drink?
I think it's pretty perfect because, you know, you have like the fruity mango, but it's not quite like some sort of like pina colada or like, what's that? There's that rum punch or whatever.
Like a daiquiri.
Yeah, you know, that you have that I feel like I associate with more islandy places. And so I think it works. But then it's you know, it's pretty just basic in a sense. And so, which I associate with British food as being very
Basic.
Very,
Very basic. That's why they had to go and take over the world, just to give their food some flavor. Because their national dish is like
beans and
tikka
toast
masala and stuff.
Yeah. I was thinking England. I'm like, there's what, beans and toast?
Oh no, they like self-identify as like tikka masala being their
India.
national dish.
India.
Yeah.
Not England.
No, England.
England associates itself as tikka masala.
Yeah, 'cause
Really?
Their food is so boring that they're like, this is our national dish.
It's like, okay, you clearly. I wonder who you stole that from.
Exactly. No. Yeah, because it's like
Colonists.
right.
Like,
So
really?
They had to go elsewhere to find good food.
Yeah. So it's got that feel to it of like his, I would say then, you know, his personality, or not, but his heritage in a sense. Yeah, that it's mango, India,
mango.
you know, but then it's
Some
very
yogurt and...
it's very then like kind of simple and stuff, and so it's like, you know, which then is kind of British. And you know what's cool though, it's like, because it's very it's kind of a basic-y mango smoothie with rum, which makes it really kind of neat because you could associate it with like a lot of different areas, you know, like I mean, I always associate mangoes with Mexico, and being in Mexico, my grandfather would salt his mangoes and before eating them, and so it's like mango can kind of be, it's exotic, but it's not like totally crazy exotic, you know, where it's like it only can be in this one place.
Rudyard Kipling is a mango.
Yeah, he's a mango. He's interesting and exciting.
Flavorful.
Yeah. You know, it's exciting when you have a mango in something, like, oh, you know, mango. Like, oh yeah, we were just outside of, like, my neighbors were walking down the street with mango White Claw, you know, because because it's like mango's kind of an exciting version, you know, you're going to have like seltzer, like, you know, or why not add a little mango to it? And
but it's like a fruit you can easily get at any grocery store.
Yeah, and he's all over the place. Like, he is there and there and there and there, you know? Like, all over the place, literally, not, you know, metaphorically or like...
figuratively, mentally, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop in San Francisco. Oh, by the way, 7 other stops later.
Yeah. Fine, now I'll take my job in England. So it's versatile in that way. And yeah.
He also had a really epic mustache.
Really?
Yeah. He's got like one of the best mustaches. Oh shoot. Look at this. Do you see the epicness of his mustache?
Oh my god, that's a great mustache.
It's like that's a mustache you want to write poems about.
It's like you could hide a tiger in that mustache. Like
yeah, you could. Oh look, and there's like an actual Internet Archive, you can watch the Just So stories. That's
Oh.
super cool.
Cute. What's the website?
It's Internet Archive, arrow Joshua Bayton, Beytien.
Okay.
So that's fun. Yeah, I love those stories. They're fun. Again, okay, Rudyard Kipling's If poem is rightly revered by Serena Williams.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the name of an article or something? She loves that poem?
Yeah.
Cool.
And that's the one that was
Yay.
voted England's most favorite poem
Yeah.
in 1995.
I love Serena Williams.
Oh, and Gunga Din also was a poem by him.
Oh, okay. I've heard that one.
Well, Gunga
Gunga
Din was
Din.
also a very racist movie, but
Oh, okay.
it was only racist because they used brown face instead of like actually using Indian,
Bollywood actors or something. I mean,
like Indian actors.
Yeah.
Because it's like Cary Grant's playing an Indian man.
oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I didn't need to know that. Information to make you depressed about history.
Yes. But that's film.
yeah.
This wasn't nothing about Rudyard Kipling. He wrote the poem Gunga Din. I don't know if the poem itself is racist. I don't know, but
Yeah.
I focused on his idea of identity and nationalism and
Yeah.
like what it kind of meant to him to be
Yeah.
a world person. He's
Yeah.
part of the world.
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah.
I think that's just so cool.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So thanks for exploring Rudyard Kipling with me.
Of course.
Yay.
Yay. If you like our podcast, tell your friends.
And like, subscribe, etc. on BookPub Pod. Oh, and I do have to throw out one really quick thing. I had a friend who does a podcast who had me guest star on his Poptimism, where they talk about pop culture references in an optimistic way. So we listened to that episode because then you'll hear all sorts of stuff about the movie Mulan and how it wasn't actually that bad. And that doesn't sound super optimistic, but it wasn't that bad. And we get referenced a lot because I reference us a lot. So
Woohoo.
yay for co-working space.
Yay.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Bye.
Bye.
Sources for this episode are Wikipedia, Britannica, poetryfoundation.org, biography.com, americanliterature.com, 10 fun facts about Rudyard Kipling, funfactsoftheworld.com.